Good morning, everyone. This is Daniel, and I am here today with another informative session with Global Compliance Service for ISO certification. I have with me our guest, Ms. Kandel Bostwick. She is the CEO of Global Compliance Service, and she will be guiding us today through the ISO certification misconceptions that companies may have, and we will be able to address some of those misconceptions. Welcome, Ms. Bostwick, and how are you today?
Hello, Danielle. I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
I am very well. Thank you very much for providing time and investing the opportunity for us to identify some misconceptions that persons may have with ISO certification and for addressing them so that everyone can have a bit more clarity.
Mhm. Yes, Danielle. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to provide another update from Global Compliance Service. We would like to erase some of the misconceptions that some business owners may have regarding ISO certification or regarding becoming certified to the ISO 9001 standard. So during today's session, we will highlight some of those misconceptions. So if you're a business owner, you can tune in and see if any of those misconceptions are, one that you would have had.
Great. Thank you very much. And in terms of the ISO certification, I know some persons have the misconception, as you mentioned, of where that certificate originates from, if it is issued by a local company or exactly where the certificate is awarded from. Can you provide us some clarity on that?
Yes, many business owners would have the misconception that ISO, which is the International Organization for Standardization, that they actually issue certifications to company. ISO is an international standards body which is responsible for facilitating the development of international standards. So ISO does not issue certifications to companies. ISO certifications are issued by registrars or what we call certification bodies. And these are independent third party agencies that would have followed certain principles and procedures. For example, some of them are accredited to provide certification services. So accreditation is issued by a registrar or a certification body. And in Guyana, we have Global Compliance Service, which would issue ISO certification. So any company interested in ISO certification, whether it's the ISO 9001 for quality management system, the ISO 22000 standard, which is a food safety management system, ISO 45001 for occupational safety and health system, among other management system standards, they can approach Global Compliance Service for us to take you through the steps towards certification. Mhm.
Mm. very informative, Ms. Bartley. And for companies, there is a lot of ideas that persons may have or companies may have in regards to ISO certification. And we're here to address those misconceptions. For a company being certified, can you give us some guidance in terms of what is being certified, if it's the product, the service, if it's the whole company, if it's a department? Can you provide us some clarity on that as well?
Yes, another misconception that business owners may have is that if they want to be ISO certified, is that they will have to certify the entire organization, all of their products or services that they're offering to their clients. ISO certification does it's not mandatory for that to be done, What is encouraged is that the company can move towards certifying those business processes or those products that bringing, as you would say, most of the income for the company, the drivers of the business. We can focus, the business owner can focus on streamlining those processes for certification. So, for example, if you're manufacturing a number of products, let's say you have jams and jellies, you have tomato ketchup, you have seasoning, um, you have, let's say, you're doing curry powder, you're doing chow mein, you can decide which line of products you would want to do. For example, you could just certify the jams and jellies, the system for producing jams and jellies. Or you can certify the system with jams and jellies and curry powder. So it depends on your market requirements, your market needs, and the areas where most of your sales are made. And also, if it's in terms of export, it could be those areas where you have the greatest market opportunities for a particular product or service. You can focus on strengthening those internal systems to have those products manufactured so that you will be able to guarantee your customers reliable products that they would be requesting from you or purchasing from you.
Very well, very well. Thank you very much. This question that I have, it is something that a lot of business owners are very curious about and has a great deal on their decision. It has to do with the financial resources required to become ISO certified. I know a lot of companies might say that the certification is a bit of an expense. However, we recognize that it's an investment into the company doing better and being more marketable. Can you elaborate a bit on some of the financial resources that a company may require to become ISO certified?
Yes, Daniel, that's a great question. And as you mentioned, that is one of the first questions a business owner would ask, especially when we approach them for certification. Like with anything else in life, there is need for investment. And I have seen over the years that implementing a quality system is one that will add value to your operations. It will streamline your internal systems, make your operations more productive, more efficient, and you will actually have a lot of cost savings. But a number of business owners are still reluctant to move towards implementing an ISO 9001 management system as an example. The cost for certification is one that I believe it's not prohibitive. It is one that once the business owner values or understands the benefits that will happen to his business after becoming certified, that cost can be seen as minimal. There is a saying that the cost for quality is priceless. What about the cost for not having quality in place? And I believe many businesses can relate to the fact of the cost that it incurs a business when there are mistakes made in terms of your products or service delivered not meeting specifications. Quality would erase all of that cost once it's adopted within the business. Now, businesses can save money in a number of ways. And I will just share a few ways in which you can save on money so that your certification cost will not be as expensive as you may think it to be. When you would have developed your quality system within your organization, when you would have streamlined your processes, you use the process approach, you've adopted a risk-based thinking, it changes the entire culture of your organization. So, for example, one of the requirements in requires that the staff are competent, and as an example, and we know once our staff are competent to carry out their different activities and duties, and they have been trained, it reduces mistakes and errors. Another section in the standard focuses on identifying nonconformities and implementing corrective actions. So once there is a challenge or there is a mistake, the company already has a system in place to do corrective action. And once corrective action is done, that mistake is not does not reoccur. And we will know if we do not have systems in place that can prevent reoccurrence of mistakes, it can add costs to our business and it can take up our production costs. So once we would have implemented a quality system, it allows the company to operate more efficiently and effective. For example, once you train your staff, you could identify 2 to 3 persons, depending on the side of your business, to become internal auditors. And once you train them as internal auditors, it means that you will not have to hire external parties to do your internal audits on your behalf. And that is one way in which the company can save money. Training your staff on your key systems, your operations, you're training them on your corrective action processes, that will also allow your business to save money. So the certification costs will be very minimal because you will see the rewards on the type of efficiency and the increase in productivity, which will erase that initial cost for certification. You will have increased market share. You will experience, with your increased market share, greater income, which will allow you to further improve your business. And for those companies who are already certified, I'm sure if you call a few of them, they will be able to share with you some of the rewarding benefits of being ISO 9001 certified. So do not let the cost, the initial cost for certification be a deterrent, but think about how your business will benefit in the long run.
Those are very informative points. A lot of benefits there for the investment and to become ISO certified. So companies do get the reward of being certified as well as the benefits involved in increasing their operation and producing a better quality of product. So excellent points raised there, Ms. Bostwick. In terms of a company becoming ISO certified, when they have the certificate, the company would have done the background, implemented the procedures, they would have attained an ISO 9001 certification, which is excellent. Does that provide the company with their products and services being of exceptional quality, or what? How does it affect their products?
All right. Now, once ISO 9001 certified, as an example, it improves the efficiency of the company to deliver on its products and services. For example, the standard requires you to document the requirements of your clients or of your customer. You document what is it they need, and then you do your plan to show how you're going to achieve that request of your client. So there's a streamlined way of addressing your customer requests to ensure that you meet their requirements in terms of their delivery time, the specification of the product requested, the quality of the product requested, the type of service requested, and the specifications. So it allows you to develop, or in some cases for companies that design products, to ensure that you deliver a product that is of the required quality for your customer based on specifications. Now, in terms of the assurance of quality, ISO does not provide assurance of the quality of your product. It's a system that you implement within your operation that allows you to ensure that you deliver what your customer requests. Remember, the business is already in existence. You already have products and services that are being offered to clients. So when you implement the ISO 9001 quality management system, it allows you to ensure that your product is of the required quality and specifications to meet the needs of your customer. So there is no assurance by ISO, but the assurance is provided by you, top management, you and your team, all of your workers at all levels of the organization, working to implement the quality system that was established using the ISO 9001 standard. Because there can be companies who would have implemented or would have developed an ISO 9001 quality system. But if they are not following the system that is developed, that was designed to meet the requirements of the standard, there will be no assurance that the product or the service is meeting requirements. So it's a quality system that you're implementing in your business that provides the assurance that your product or service will meet customer specifications. It has nothing to do with ISO providing that assurance. It's you and your team. Yes, Daniel.
That's very informative, very informative. It is really breaking down the misconceptions that persons would have in terms of attaining that ISO certification for any one of the ISO standards. Another area that persons would have asked of me is that the length of time involved in becoming ISO certified. I know companies would like to see the benefits sooner rather than later. Hence, they would like to have their certification done in the shortest possible time, or even if it is scheduled for maybe the next quarter or 2021, they would like that certification process to be expeditiously done. In terms of being certified, what time frame can companies look forward to? Is it a couple of days, maybe a month? It doesn't depend on any factors. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Yes, Daniel, that's a very important question. The time frame for ISO certification. It depends on the top management of the organization and the resources that are available to them. Now, in order to become ISO 9001 certified, one of the first things that the top management or key persons within the organization should be aware of is the requirements of the ISO 9001 standard or any other ISO standard that a company would like to be certified to. So first of all, you must train your team members. And I encourage top management to be a part of that training because it's very important that they understand the requirements of the standard. And there is an entire section in the standard that talks top management commitment, very integral in the development of the quality system. After you would have been trained on the quality system, you can conduct what we will call a gap analysis of your business, where you'll be able to determine or identify those gaps within your current operations that you need to address. And doing a gap analysis can be completed within a week. So we start in the process, a training, a requirements training, it's 1 day, 2 days in some cases. You have your gap analysis done within 1 week with your report, and then you can prepare your action plan. And within the action plan, it will basically outline the steps as to how you're going to address the different areas. So within your organization, you identify a team, representatives from the different departments, and you review your system. And then you start the implementation process. The ISO 9001 standard does not require many documents. It requires you to document your scopes. You have to decide on your scope and if there are any justifications. So once you have your scope, you will then now be able to develop your system. So as I mentioned earlier, your scope basically will identify, which line of product or service you will want to focus on, or if you would like to do your entire operations. So after you would have gone through that process, you define your scope, you map out your processes and your process interactions, you design your quality policy and your objectives, and you will follow through the requirements to develop your system. Your system can be developed within 1 to 2 months, right, with your focus team. And after you develop that system with the key members of your team, you're encouraged to then provide training, because as part of the quality system, your staff need to be aware of the requirements of the system, and also some of your external providers, your suppliers, key persons that can have an influence on your operations. So you have to have awareness and communication on the quality system. And you have to start implementing those procedures or your work instructions as you would have documented them, or you would have communicated that they will be how they will be implemented. And you generate the necessary records. Generation of records can start from month 1. So as you develop, you start to implement. Right? So for example, if you develop your document control system, from the next day when you've completed that process and you've reviewed it and you have a clear indication how your documents will be identified, you start to implement it with all the other documents generated after that date. So you can actually start your implementation as you develop your system, and it will give you time to also improve on your documents or the records or the forms that you are designed for the system. So by the end of a 3-month period, you should have sufficient evidence to show that you've actually implemented most of the quality system, if not all of it. And once you have that framework in place, that you have a quality management system to the ISO 9001 standard or any other ISO standard, you can now think about your application for certification. Remember, this is an ongoing process. So by the time you apply, let's say within the 3rd month, and you review the proposal and so forth, you can actually have your internal audit done before your certification audit is scheduled. Because one of the things we would ask you for is your first internal audit, a report of that. If you haven't done others, some company may be able to do more than one audit, but at least an internal audit report and your first management review report or minutes. So once that cycle has been completed, it provides a good indication as the type of quality system that you would have implemented. And if you have non-conformities, you effect your corrective action procedure. So all of that will show the auditor that you're actually implementing your system. You've started the process, you have the framework, and you're actually using the system. So it's an ongoing process. And you can have your audit within 4 months of your start date. Some persons may want to give it 6 months. But I know in Guyana, we have a company that actually became certified within 7 months. And that showed real commitment of the staff within that company. You have to be committed to the process. So ISO certification does not take a long time. It depends on top management. You have the power in your hands to make that decision. Those companies would like certification within the next month or 2 months. You just have to put that commitment, allocate the resources, and take the necessary steps to make you ISO 9001 compliant. And after you would have done that, and we would do your stage 1 audit, and then we do your stage 2 audit. All of this can be done within a 2 to 3 week period. And you have your certification within a month, 2 months maximum of applying for your certification. Right? So that process of certification does not take long. It can be completed within a month or within 2 months. The only time you will have a further delay is if while the audit is being done, the stage 2 audit, and there are major nonconformities in your system, that may cause a delay until you would have, done the necessary corrective actions to, provide us with the assurance that your system is working well. And you should not have major nonconformities once you ensure that you're addressing all of the requirements that are applicable to your business before applying. That's why it's very important that you register for one of our ISO 9001 requirements course so that you can be familiar with the requirements of the standard and know exactly what areas your company needs to address in order to become certified. Right? So it's very important that our local businesses, our business owners are aware that the ISO process does not take a long time. It's all within their hands. They're the ones who are making the decision. Yes, business owners, you're the ones who determines how long your company takes to become certified.
That is very informative. I'm sure a lot of persons are now very much more educated on the time frame and the commitment that you mentioned that is required from them to become ISO certified and to achieve the certification. I know it's available to both private sector as well as public sector, so government offices, should they have to improve their processes, it's available to them as well, not just to business owners. And they can achieve the certification. You mentioned one company achieving it within 7 months, and it can be done in a shorter period of time. You mentioned between 3 to 4 months, depending on the level of commitment to have the processes implemented in the organization. You spoke a bit earlier, if I could refer, on a product being ISO certified. Can you elaborate a bit on that? Because I know there are a fair amount of manufacturers in the country that are looking to attain the certification, in particular the ISO 9001. For the manufacturers, can you give details on how they can have their products certified with the ISO 9001 standard?
Okay, Danny, that's an interesting question. And also, I would call it to a misconception that our manufacturers of products in particular, it's just to indicate or to clear up the misconception that the ISO standard, like let's say the ISO 9001 standard, does not certify your product. A management system standard is not a product standard. They are product standards that have specifications to products.
Like they may have specifications for jams and jellies, specifications for coconut oil, and specifications for seasoning and peppers. Those are product standards. The ISO management system standards helps you to develop a management system to manage your operations to deliver the desired product that you are manufacturing. It basically helps you to streamline your internal production operations. For example, the entire section 8 of the ISO 9001 standard deals with the operations of the business. And for that operation to be effective, a lot of planning goes into it, which is defined in clauses 5 and 6 and 7. So the company is required, for example, to ensure that they firstly identify the resources needed to provide or to manufacture a particular product. So for example, do you have adequate personnel or competent personnel? Do you have the facilities that are suitable and appropriate to manufacture that particular product? Do you have the equipment necessary? Are they accurate? Are you ensuring that they're calibrated with their measuring equipment to manufacture that product? How is your environment? Is the environment appropriate for manufacturing that product to meet the product specifications? If you have to have special temperature controls in place at your facility. So the standard allows you first in the planning stage to identify what is needed to deliver on a product that will meet your product specs. And I know manufacturing companies, you have your product specs that you're manufacturing to. So this standard allows you to identify what is required, provide it, so it ensures that you will provide it, because once you identify it, you must be able to provide it, provide the resources, and you have to have systems in place for monitoring to ensure that all of your processes go as planned. You must set criteria for a process, whether it will pass or fail. I know some of you already have that in place. For example, your inspection processes on your line, at what area you inspect, you may have to check your temperature, you may have to check speed, and different parameters you will have to check whilst you're going through that production phase. So once you have done all of that, went through the quality system, you have your records, and then you have to show that they're actually reviewed to ensure that they meet criteria that you would have set, and you would have met product specifications before you actually deliver on that product. So the ISO management system standard improves your method of manufacturing, or how you will go about producing a particular product within your manufacturing facility.
So it's not that the bottle of jam and jelly is ISO 9001 certified or the chow mein is ISO 9001 certified. It's basically saying that those products are manufactured within a facility that is conforming to the ISO 9001 quality management system. And ISO 9001 is the global standard for quality. So once someone sees a company, or you see that certificate that a company is certified to the ISO 9001 standard, it provides the assurance that that product that you see on the shelf from that company would have been produced
Under conditions that are globally accepted for a management system as to how you manufacture a product, right? So this product should be of, let's say, consistent quality, taste, right? It must be um, a reliable product, right? Because if you just look at some of the products that we have on the market from companies that are certified, right? What should stand out with those companies is that there is a consistent, let's say, taste of that product, consistency in its quality, right? Because you don't want to be purchasing a product 1 month, it has a particular taste, another month it's another taste, or it's packaged one way in one batch and another batch is packaged another way. So the system ensures consistency
in the product that is delivered. And it also tells the consumer that there are controls in place to ensure that that product is manufactured to meet specs.
Also, the company has a system in place, they have a quality assurance system in place to ensure that, okay, whatever product is produced is actually meeting specifications. If there are any challenges or non-conformity within the production process, the company has a system of segregating the bad products from the good products and ensuring that they do not mix up with those products that are going out for consumption or for sale. So that is a great indication as what happens with a company who is certified and is manufacturing a particular product. So the product is not ISO 9001 certified or ISO certified, but it's the system under which it's operating. So I hope
that clears up the misconceptions that business owners or persons out there who have an interest in certification. It's good that you are educated on what ISO certification means and what it brings to our local businesses. Because indeed, we would like to see more businesses in Guyana ISO certified so that we can improve
the quality of products and services on our market. And also, we'd like our local businesses to be competitive.
Very informative. That is great that persons have that information so that they can know what their organization is responsible for in terms of the product and the actual manufacturing process, as well as the areas you identified if they have the capacity to produce the products and regulations. That is all very useful information. And thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to invest with us to provide those bits of information to clear up any misconceptions that organizations seeking an ISO requirement would have. So, Ms. Bostwick, thank you very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure hosting you for this session.
Thank you, Daniel. It's good to educate our viewers and the community, and we will continue to provide more information so that persons will be empowered to make the right decisions for their businesses.
Excellent. Thank you very much again. Persons who are interested in having more information, they can reach out to the office. The contact number is 223-6666. That's 223-6666 for more information, quotations, details about training, and to just address any misconceptions or queries that they may have. Ms. Bostwick, thank you very much, and we will see you at another session.
Thank you, Daniel. Have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone.